Every night, I take a slow walk along the forest path behind my village. The trees there are old and tall, their branches weaving together to form a soft, green roof above the trail. It's quiet, incredibly calming, a place where the day's thoughts finally settle down and find their own space. It's become a small ritual for me, a way to connect with the stillness of nature before the world wakes up again. One evening, as the sky was shifting from a deep, bruised purple to a velvety dark blue, something caught my eye. There, nestled between the thick trunks of the ancient trees, was a small, glowing lantern. It wasn't hanging from a branch or sitting on the ground. It was floating, hovering about a foot above the fallen leaves, its light a soft, warm honey color that seemed to push back the encroaching shadows. My first thought was simple. Someone must have left it there. Maybe a camper, or kids playing in the woods. But as I watched, it moved. Not like it was being blown by the wind or jostled by a hidden string. It moved slowly, gracefully, gliding through the forest with a silent purpose, as if carried by an invisible, gentle hand. It was surreal, a little dreamlike, but strangely, I didn't feel scared. In fact, a wave of calm washed over me. I felt safe, as if the forest itself was showing me something special. I continued my walk, and the lantern kept pace with me. It maintained a gentle distance, never coming too close to feel intrusive, but never drifting so far that I lost sight of its warm glow. It was like having a silent companion on my walk, matching my steps with an unspoken understanding. It bobbed slightly with each of my footfalls, a quiet, rhythmic dance. In the twilight, we walked like this for what felt like a long time, me and this mysterious light, sharing the silence of the woods. After a while, the path ahead split into two. The trail to the left was the one I always took, the familiar route that led back to the village, Baikto Mayom. The other path, to the right, was one I'd never explored. It looked darker, more overgrown, disappearing into a part of the forest I didn't know. The unknown has always carried a little bit of hesitation for me, a little whisper of caution. But then, the lantern drifted. It didn't follow me toward the familiar path. Instead, it moved gracefully toward the unfamiliar trail. As it crossed the threshold into the unknown woods, its light seemed to grow just a little brighter, a little more inviting. It hovered there at the entrance to the new path, pulsing softly. It was almost as if it was waiting for me, beckoning me forward, extending a silent invitation to see what lay beyond. I hesitated. Of course, my mind raced with all the practical reasons I should just turn left and go home. It was getting late. The woods were dark, and I didn't know where that path led. But the lantern's warm, golden light made the unknown path feel different. It didn't feel frightening or dangerous. It felt soft, gentle, and welcoming. The light painted the moss on the trees in shades of gold and made the ferns look like they were dipped in honey. It was a beauty I hadn't expected. So, against all my better judgment, I decided to trust it. I took a deep breath and followed the light. As I walked down the new trail, the forest grew quieter, deeper, almost sacred. The usual night sounds of crickets and rustling leaves seemed to fade away, replaced by a profound silence that felt ancient and full of peace. The air grew still. The lantern floated steadily ahead, my only guide lighting the way with its calm, unwavering glow. It illuminated just enough of the path for my next step, encouraging a slow, deliberate passage. After a few more minutes of walking, it finally stopped. It hovered beside an old, weathered wooden sign, nailed to a massive oak tree, a sign and a tree I had never seen before in all my walks. I stepped closer to read the words carved into the wood. The lettering was old and faded, but still legible in the lantern's soft light. It read, "Rest here when your heart is tired." Beneath the sign, nestled among the roots of the great oak, was a small, simple wooden bench. It looked like it had been there for 100 years, waiting patiently. I looked from the sign to the bench, and then to the lantern, which was now hovering peacefully beside it. The air around this spot felt warmer, thicker, charged with a palpable sense of tranquility. It felt like a sanctuary. Without a second thought, I sat down on the bench. The wood was smooth and cool beneath my hands. The lantern drifted over and hovered beside me, almost like a person sitting quietly, offering their silent company. We just stayed there, in the heart of the woods, enveloped in this pocket of peace. I looked at the little floating light, its flame flickering gently inside the glass. "You brought me here," I whispered, the words feeling loud in the stillness. In response, the lantern's flame flickered a little brighter for just a moment, a gentle pulse of light, as if it were nodding, as if it were answering, "Yes, I did." It was a moment of connection that went beyond words, beyond logic. For a long time, I just sat there. I didn't think about my day, my worries, or my to-do lists. I just breathed. I listened to the deep silence of the forest and felt a strange, profound sense of comfort that I hadn't even realized I needed so badly. It was like a weight I'd been carrying on my shoulders for weeks, maybe even months, had finally been lifted. My tired heart, as the sign had said, was finally resting. When I finally felt ready to leave, when the peace of that place had soaked into my bones, I stood up. As soon as I was on my feet, the lantern began to move again. It floated back toward the way we came, leading me out of the deep woods and back toward the main path. It guided me all the way home, its steady light, a comforting presence in the darkness. When we reached the edge of the forest, where the path meets the fields behind my village, the lantern paused. It hovered in the air for a moment, its light seeming to embrace me one last time. It flickered once, a bright, warm pulse, like a final, silent goodbye, and then it simply vanished. It didn't fly away or fade out slowly. It was there, and then it was gone, like a breath. On a cold day, I stood there for a long time, staring at the spot where it had been, the warmth of its light still feeling close. I know it's still there, somewhere in those woods, waiting, watching, a quiet guardian of that peaceful place, ready to guide me, or anyone else with a tired heart, back to that bench whenever we need to find a moment of true rest. And now, every time I walk that path, I do it with a little more hope, a little more wonder, always looking for that gentle, golden glow. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more tales from the quiet corners of the world. See you next time.